Let's break down the four main prehistoric eras of Native American civilization. These are the Paleo-Indian, Archaic, Woodland, and Mississippian periods. Each era has its own unique characteristics and developments, so let's dive into them one by one. Paleo-Indian Era, c. 15,000, 8,000 BCE. Imagine stepping back in time to around 15,000 years ago. The first people in the Americas, known as Paleo-Indians, were incredibly resourceful and adventurous. They arrived by crossing the Bering Land Bridge from Asia into North America, following herds of large animals like mammoths and mastodons. These early humans were nomadic hunters and gatherers. They lived in small, mobile groups and used stone tools such as spear points to hunt big game. One of the most famous examples is the Clovis point, a beautifully crafted stone tool that was used to hunt large animals. The Clovis culture is named after the site in New Mexico where these tools were first discovered. Life for the Paleo-Indians revolved around following these large animals for food. They also gathered plants, nuts, and berries. Their shelters were temporary, often made from animal hides and natural materials. Despite their tough nomadic life, they managed to spread across the entire continent, adapting to different environments along the way. Archaic Era, c. 8000, 1000 BCE. As we move into the Archaic Era, the climate began to warm up, leading to the extinction of the large Ice Age animals. This forced the early inhabitants to adapt their lifestyle. Instead of focusing solely on big game hunting, they diversified their diet to include smaller animals, fish, and a wide variety of plant foods. During this time, people started developing new tools and technologies. They created fishing nets, hooks, and more sophisticated stone tools. One notable innovation was the atlatiel, a spear thrower that allowed hunters to throw spears with greater force and accuracy. With the more stable climate, some groups began to settle in more permanent locations. They built semi-permanent structures and started experimenting with early forms of agriculture, growing plants like sunflowers and squash. This era also saw the development of trade networks, as groups exchanged goods and resources with one another. The archaic people also had a rich spiritual life. They built burial mounds and conducted rituals to honor their dead, indicating a belief in an afterlife and complex social structures. Woodland Era, c. 1000 BCE, 1000 CE. The Woodland Era marks a significant shift in Native American life. Agriculture became more widespread, and people began to settle in permanent villages. Corn, maize, became a staple crop, along with beans and squash, known as the Three Sisters. These crops were often grown together because they complemented each other in the soil. This era is characterized by the development of pottery, which allowed people to store and cook food more effectively. The pottery often had intricate designs, reflecting the artistic skills of these communities. One of the most significant aspects of the Woodland Era is the construction of large earthen mounds. The Adena and Hopewell cultures, for example, built impressive mound complexes for ceremonial, burial, and social purposes. These mounds were often shaped like animals or other symbols and required a high level of organization and cooperation to construct. Trade networks expanded even further during this period, connecting distant communities and allowing for the exchange of goods, ideas, and technologies. The woodland peoples also developed complex social and political structures, with leaders and religious figures playing important roles in their communities. Mississippian Era, c. 1000 CE, 1600 CE. The Mississippian Era is known for its highly complex and organized societies. This period saw the rise of large, densely populated cities with advanced agricultural practices and sophisticated political and religious systems. One of the most famous Mississippian sites is Cahokia, located near present-day St. Louis, Missouri. At its peak, Cahokia had a population of around 20,000 people and featured large earthen mounds, including the massive Monk's Mound, which was used for ceremonial and religious purposes. These mounds served as platforms for temples and the homes of the elite. The Mississippian people were expert farmers, growing vast quantities of corn, beans, squash, and other crops. Their agricultural surplus supported large populations and allowed for specialized crafts and trades to flourish. They created intricate pottery, woven textiles, and elaborate ceremonial objects. Socially, the Mississippian societies were hierarchical, with a clear distinction between the elite and commoners. The elite controlled the distribution of resources and played central roles in religious and political life. They also engaged in long-distance trade, exchanging goods like shells, copper, and exotic stones with distant regions. Religion played a central role in Mississippian life. They practiced complex rituals and ceremonies, often centered around the mound structures. These ceremonies were intended to ensure the fertility of the land, the success of crops, and the well-being of the community. The Mississippian era came to an end around the time of European contact in the 16th century. Factors like environmental changes, warfare, and the introduction of European diseases contributed to the decline of these powerful societies. In summary, the prehistoric eras of Native American civilization showcase a remarkable journey of adaptation, innovation, and cultural development. From the nomadic hunters of the Paleo-Indian era to the complex mound-building societies of the Mississippian era, these early inhabitants of the Americas laid the foundations for the diverse and rich cultures that would follow.